Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Small Business Virtual Town Hall meeting, which we have it every Tuesday at noontime. We have a live broadcast, but then also we have it taped, and so you can watch it online on our Lieutenant Governor's Facebook page. I'm Dan McKee, and again, welcome. Today's show is just like the previous shows over the last several weeks, talking about small businesses. But before I start, I want to first mention a couple things. One is primary day, and let's get out and vote. I think that especially the way that politics goes these days, and our primaries are very important, become more important because everybody needs to have a voice in selecting who's going to be in the local communities leadership or state leadership, in November, federal leadership as well. So get out and vote. Every vote counts, and we really in Rhode Island, our primaries are primarily the who we elect. So if whoever you're voting for, whatever party you're in, get out and vote today. Thanks for listening on that. The other thing I wanted to be talking about again is the health issue. The COVID is still here, still impacting our economy. We wear our masks, in reference to Liz Tanner, our Department of Business Regulation Director. Liz is not here today, but we still are wearing our masks, reminding people, let's stay healthy, social distance, wash your hands, but we want you to support our small businesses. And there's ways that we can do that. So during this program, share out, if you're watching, share it out. The more people who see it, the more value we get. If you have any questions, as was just put on the screen, phone number 222-2371. We will get back to you. If you have any immediate questions, you can type that in, and Ben, who's helping us produce the programs, will be able to ask our guests the questions that you have. And of course, you can go to our website, and then we will follow up during the week, and we'll steer you in the right direction on any issue. We're here talking about small businesses, but the pandemic and the health issues is impacting as many ways, including our education. We're getting involved in our education discussions. I'll be heading to a meeting right after this show to talk about the challenges that we have in education and the equity issues that we need to continue to be aware of. As you know, I've been really lobbying hard because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of hours of lost school time, doesn't matter what community you're living in, about 39 cities and towns. It doesn't matter what your income level is, whether you're high, low, or moderate income household. It doesn't really matter whether you're a minority, non-minority. All our students, doesn't matter if you're going to a private school, a public school, a charter school, a Merrill Academy, even homeschool. There's going to be hundreds and hundreds of hours of lost learning time, March over March 2020 over March 2021. And we've got to figure out a way to provide our students with those education opportunities. The only way you're going to do it is outside the school day. They're going to be stressed as it is, as we know, a way they're going to open up. So I'm advocating for municipal education offices and municipal education department in all our 39 cities and towns. I did that as a mayor in Cumberland. We've had 13 years of our mayor's office of children, youth, and learning, teaching hundreds of kids how to read, do math, do leadership programs, robotic strategies, very educationally oriented, and we get to do it 52 weeks out of the year. Wouldn't that be unbelievable if we had a system like that at this point in time of need, to be specific into different communities' needs and to start filling in those hundreds of hours of lost learning time? That's going to help our economy. That's going to help our students. And so that we're advocating for that. So shifting into our program today, we're going to start it off with Lori Jetteri. And Lori has done this really fabulous video that depicts the real emotional impact that COVID-19 has had on our small businesses in the state of Rhode Island. That we're advocating for the grant money as one of the tools. We're advocating for a strong, favorable loan strategy into our small businesses, partnering with our local banks, partnering in with our SBA guarantees, state guarantees, and continue to advocate, even as early this morning, that those dollars that are there on the federal dollars, allowable uses to help with grants with our small businesses. Right now, the money's going out slower than what we want, and it's not as much as we think could be there. There's a hesitancy because we think that, there's a thought process that we can use those funds to fill a hole in our state budgets. Our guidelines currently don't allow that, but we can do both. We can hold back a little bit of money. In fact, if the rules change to do that and put out the money to the small businesses, we can do both. So we got to really focus on that. So if Lori's on, Ben, bring her on. I want to introduce her. She's one of our three amigos that has been working on our small business coalition now for several weeks, and has been doing extraordinary work, Lori. So just reintroduce yourself, and then set up the clip that we have, because tomorrow evening on my community conversation, we're going to have you on. We're going to play the full clip, and we're going to have a real in-depth conversation about the impact that this health crisis is having on our small business, and it's quickly, it's already here as an economic crisis that we have to address. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. I really, just the exposure for the shoplocalrhodeisland.com and the Rhode Island Small Business.org sites are, we see these as two entities, right? So the shoplocalrhodeisland.com gives the businesses and customers a platform to communicate and exchange the information. And then we have the advocacy segment of the coalition. So I think that telling the story and keeping the small business conversation going in the state of Rhode Island is such an important thing right now. You said on the video, and you'll see yourself on the video saying, this is really just a way that so many families in Rhode Island are supporting their children. And one thing you were talking about the municipal education centers, and the fact is, this is all about families. It's all about taking care of our people, and I think that some of these stories really hit the small business owners. Last week we showed it to one of our clients that we were preparing to work with, and she burst into tears, and we couldn't have the meeting because she couldn't stop crying. And she said, I had my blinders on. I was holding it together. I didn't stop. I've just been trying to hold it all together. And then when you see that there's someone else in the same boat with you, experiencing the same things that you're experiencing, finally, you're just like, oh, it's like almost like a relief that businesses can see other businesses and support each other. So this clip is the beginning. We call it kind of like a doomsday opening, but it does get better, and it does show the emotion of what the businesses have been experiencing so far. And it's on shoplocalrhodeisland.com and on the visualthrive.com website. So you can share it and view it anytime. So I don't know, Ben, if you want to.
Ben, you can run the clip. That'd be great.
Run the clip.
That day that I closed the studio that Sunday and locked the door, there were times this spring where I didn't think I would be coming back, that I didn't think I would open that door again.
We had a moment when we realized that this was a major deal that wasn't going to be going away anytime soon, and said, I think starting tomorrow, we should not be letting customers in our stores.
People were scared and uncertain. We had to shut our doors, and we're kind of like, well, what are we going to do now? Our business is service.
There's no such thing as just another small business. It's not just an ice cream shop. That ice cream shop, that travel agency, or that hair salon, they're all important to those individuals running those businesses. That's how they raise their families. That's how they put food on the table. Yeah, so thanks for that, Lori. Tomorrow night we're going to hear the whole clip and the whole 7 minutes, and we're hopefully going to have some of those small businesses, join us to tell a story. So we're going to encourage all our small businesses in the state and all the families that work in those small businesses and the community leaders. I was in Barrington today visiting a few businesses with Chris Parisi and others. And so we really need to keep this conversation going. Jim Kuna down there, town manager in Barrington, talking to him about the small businesses. They intend to have a resolution on their next council docket, asking the governor to appropriate dollars quicker and distribute them equally to all our communities, and so that all our small businesses in every community in the state can benefit from these grants. And then, of course, the loan program that we're going to talk about. So please tune in tomorrow, 7 o'clock with Lori. We got Mark Hayward on now. Mark, thank you for being here. You got your mask. I got
my
mine too.
mask, Governor.
Thank you very much. And you
Today's
got the
mask is the insignia of the SBA.
yes.
So
And I understand you got a couple special masks in the mail from the Patriots organization. Tell her there's some NFL fans out there right now, and I'm sure some of our small businesses rely on the football season for a great deal of their business. So I know I enjoy watching the football because I enjoy the competition, but it does fit in with what we're talking about here. So what is the NFL doing based on your notice from the Patriots programs?
So I did, because I am a season ticket holder, as I mentioned to you, Governor. So they sent 3 Patriots masks because they want everybody to wear those masks if they're coming into the stadium. I've opted out for the year. So my understanding is that they'll have anywhere between 10 to 12,000 people that will be allowed in. Although my understanding also is that the first couple of games there will be nobody. So it'll be just the teams. But the important point that you just made, there are a lot of restaurants and there are a lot of social gathering places that make a lot of money off of the NFL having 12 screens all over their establishment and people coming together that are going to be severely impacted. So the issues that you're raising as it regards to providing dollars, particularly for the hospitality community, for the retail community, is really essential, because those are the individuals. And also, gyms is the other thing. Talk about NFL, where they inspire us to be fit. Although I'm more of an athletic supporter than I am of an athlete, but they, they're going to be impacted, Governor. And I think getting money into the hands of the small business owners is really critical. I had the opportunity to talk to Dave LaHouse, who from both Caves and the Lodge. And the questions that we're asking everybody is, what do we do when we come to the end of September and it starts to get cooler and you don't have the availability of dining out in the parking lots like people are doing right now? And so there are some real challenges coming up, and we need to begin to figure out how to work with that.
Yeah, all those types of events, the sporting events. I know that this, the hospitality industry relies on that, but also the vendors that supply the hospitality industry, right? I mean, it's just like we had, a wedding photographer on last week's show, and we talk about the caterers and that type of thing that are impacted by the weddings, but the hotels are as well, and the DJs are, and the musicians are, and the photographers are, and the cake makers are. I mean, it all fits.
And the florists are. We got flowers.
Yes, that's right. Yep. We had Tyler Young on last week from the farm down in Little Compton, and his family, his daughters and wife have a fantastic floral arrangement business go down there, but that's being impacted too. So, that's why it's so important for us to have these discussions. And not shy away from them, Mark, just because they had a good go around with Gene Valicenti this morning on the radio. And, I think it's important that we have these conversations. And even though they might be tense at times, these businesses, these businesses are going through a living hell right now. These owners, the families, the people who work in those in those small businesses, there's a high level of uncertainty in their lives. And that anxiety is real. You can cut that anxiety with a knife. It is absolutely there. So Thanks for being here today, Mark, and giving us
and
updates.
Governor, that's why I mentioned it. And a lot of times it's not only the money that they need, and we know it's a liquidity issue, but it's also technical assistance. So what the SBA is doing, we're partnering with all of the chambers of commerce across the state. We're also bringing in our trade associations. We've worked really close with Dale Venturini at Hospitality and other associations, Melissa Travis at CPAs, and we've devised a questionnaire that will be going to them, and they're going to push out to all of their members. And it's going to ask some very specific questions about what they need going forward as we look at the fall, because things are about to change. And I think that's the issue that you and I have talked about is, okay, we're here today. Where are we going to be in 6 weeks from now? And I think so we're going to push out a questionnaire to all of the small businesses across the state. It's going to be pretty comprehensive. I've committed to the chambers of commerce that when we get, because they're going to be individualized to their chambers, and when we get the results back, we're going to give it back to the chambers. But Governor, we're going to provide to you kind of a comprehensive of the things that are needed most moving forward. We know access to capital is definitely going to be one. Access to grants is definitely going to be one. We have a question in there about PPP. And the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that a couple of our SCORE volunteers actually analyzing surveys and providing for follow-up questions is their business. And they come forward and said, we'd like to be able to go one step further. And it's really going to be comprehensive for you, Governor, and for a lot of other people.
Yeah, so Mark, I mean, when I read about a closure or announcement of a closure, what advice would you give them before they close? I mean, you got this area where people can get some strong advice and directions, technical advice, and that type of thing. So I just hope that they are following through on all the options, even though it's painful to be actually asking those questions. But before they close shop, what should they be thinking of?
So they really do need to ask first. Don't say, I'm just going to put the key in the door and walk away. So here's a couple of things. In fact, I had that discussion with one business this morning, said, I can't go any further. The payments that SBA is making on my SBA loan is coming to an end in September, and I don't know what to do. So basically what I said to the business owner was, as an SBA guaranteed loan, you have the right to ask your lender for a 6-month deferment. So you would have 6 additional months deferred. Yes, it would be a force majeure where it would be put at the back of the loan. We understand that. But at least for a principal and interest over the next 6 months, that would be set aside. In the meantime, we will help in identifying consultants that will help you get over the next 6 months. So just don't walk away from it and call us. Ben, can you put the email up there, please? Send an email to our Rhode Island District Office website, which is down at the bottom there, Governor, and we will help you. We have great resource partners at the Small Business Development Center at the University of Rhode Island, with the Center for Women in Enterprise, our Veterans Business Outreach Center, and SCORE. These are experts. These are consultants that are free of charge to you. Don't put the key in the door. Call us first. Let us work with you.
Yeah, that's great advice, Mark. And we visited the business. We're going to have at the tail end of the show a business that just opened up. They were planning to open up, put all their investment in a restaurant in Allen's Avenue. They're going to be our guests today because there's people who are thinking about opening. There's people who are. We were with a number of the food truck operators on Broad Street in Providence last week, probably 10 to 12. They were actually asking how whether there was opportunities with the SBA or some loans where they could actually pool together and buy trucks, $75,000 to $100,000 for the trucks for their business. I know a small business that actually used an SBA loan for a kind of a food truck operation. Yep. So we're encouraging them, right, Mark, to pursue that options and take a look at what's going on. And this might be a good environment to actually make those investments. Actually,
a lot of businesses start in a down economy, Governor. We have found that out just over the years. I've been here since 1991, been with SBA since 89. So, I mean, that's one of the things that we found. And you mentioned the food trucks. So in 2 weeks' time, I will be going out mask in hand to all of our Small Business Week winners that were not recognized in May that we normally do. And
Yes.
we have their awards. We're going to be giving them their awards. And one of those is Smoke and Squeal, which is a veteran-owned business. It started with a food truck at a little place in Pawtucket now. Great. You want ribs? I'll tell you what, find Smoke and Squeal, you get great ribs. So we're going to recognize all these people who've been working really hard over these years. Our Small Business Person of the Year is a Bodie Spa, which is out of Newport. They continue to work. They social distance. They use masks. And so, Governor, everybody's been, and all of our winners are still operating. And it's a, it's a challenge. We know it. We've been talking to them, but we know that they're going to succeed.
Yeah, and that's I'll let you give any federal update you want, but
Okay.
to me the when I met with Rosa in our office with primarily Hispanic truck operators that were centralized in Pawtucket and on Broad Street in Providence, but they represent all the food trucks basically. But when they started, I was surprised and happy to hear that they were looking to invest in their businesses. They were looking to upgrade their vehicles, because in the real hot weather, it's like an oven in there on some of these trucks. In the real cold weather, it's like a freezer, and they have insulated strategies now in these food trucks, and they're actually looking to upgrade for their businesses. So I was very pleasantly surprised that people are starting to think that way. And it's a lot of doom and gloom here, but we need to actually talk about that as well, about how to help people along to expand or to open their businesses.
Well, SBA loans are still flowing. All of our participating lenders are actually making 7A and 504 loans, so that has not stopped. On the HEALS Act, my understanding is the Senate is back today. We have been told, I was just got off the phone with Washington a couple of minutes ago, and they said they expect the Senate to take up a bill, whether it passes or not. I'm not going to speculate on it. But again, PPP and PPP forgiveness is part of the bill. A lot of work's been done by Senator Rubio and Senator Collins, Senator Shaheen and Senator Cardin, which is a bipartisan group of U.S. senators on both sides of the aisle that have done a lot of work on PPP. So we understand that has already been agreed to. There are some friends of mine on the House side that said we're looking at the opportunity to move things forward. Don't know what it's going to be, but so there's a lot of positive. Unfortunately, Governor, we're in the middle of the silly season. You know what season that is. So we don't know exactly, it's kind of like making sausage. You don't know what's going to come out. Is it going to be hot or is it going to be just mild? So we're hoping for that. In the meantime, EIDL loans are still available. If you have not got an EIDL loan, please apply. If you have a problem, always contact us at the district office. We're more than happy to help. There are EIDL loans that are being approved. I did talk to some people today. And at the same time, we still have fraud ongoing. We're working through that and working with both. You put us in contact with the state police. We're working with Rhode Island State Police and with our OIG, Office of Inspector General, to thwart all of that. So we're busy, Governor. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, I'll have these food truck operators contact your office. I really want to follow through on that specific thing and see where it leads, and if it leads in, to helping them expand their business or improve their businesses. That's what we want. We want to come out of this health crisis with an economic, recovery that's as quickly as we possibly can. So, businesses that are in position to reinvest right now or thinking that way, let's encourage it.
Great. I think Ben doesn't have any questions for me today.
Yeah, they
pop in.
Ben, you all set? You should at least come on with your mask and say hello to Mark.
Yeah, sure. Here, I have a special mask that was a gift from the DAR now for today. So
yes,
thanks.
that was a good program with the Daughters of the American Revolution. That was very well done. The Battle of Rhode Island.
We have some comments in the comments. But
only if they're positive,
but not questions.
We don't.
Where can businesses find out how and what they can use the EIDL money on? Lori asked that in the private chat.
So I do have, and I will send it to you, Ben, and to you, Governor. There is it's very comprehensive. You can use it on just about everything. If you've done your PPP and you finish on your PPP, you can use it on salaries and expenses. It's basically working capital, so it really depends on where you are in that process, but you can use it on anything.
Okay.
You can't use it to finance a building, and you can't use it to finance specific things in that, in that building. If it's on working capital, you're fine.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
Mark.
Mark. And Mark, when you do your tour with those award winners, let me know the schedule. I'd love to be able to hop in on a couple of those.
Yeah, we will, Governor. We're working on that now. Hopefully it'll be the week of the 21st, so we'll get back to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. Matt, welcome aboard. I'm glad you got your mask. I know Liz
That's right,
is not
Governor.
able to be here today, but I will report back who's
All right,
wearing
good.
their masks and who's not wearing their masks, because we got to stay healthy. Otherwise, the economy is not going to get healthy. It's not going to recover. So give us the update on what's happening down there with DLT. I'm sure you had a busy week.
Yeah, we're staying busy. It was a beautiful weekend. We were able to get some work done as well, which is good. The big thing right now is how we're issuing these FEMA payments. The FEMA program is not what we're typically used to here at DLT. We're used to working with the United States Department of Labor. So FEMA has some different rules and different program reporting requirements, and we're getting used to those now. The good thing is last week we pushed out the biggest batch of payments, and those were received by the weekend. In fact, some people started receiving them almost immediately. That was about 95,000 people that received those payments. We still had a group left that we had, two groups left really that we had to pay. One group were people that earned less than $100 a week in unemployment. The federal program does not provide the extra money to them. The governor issued an executive order to increase our minimum rate up to $100 so we could cover every Rhode Islander. And so now we are doing that, and we're paying those people this week. That's a much, much smaller group of people. And then finally, we have people that filed a regular unemployment claim, but when they filed, they didn't indicate it was related to COVID. The FEMA money is only for people that have been impacted by COVID. So this weekend, when people went in to certify for their weekly payment, which they have to do once a week, part of the language allowed them to certify that their claim actually was related one way or not to COVID. And we're using that information to then pay that remaining group of people. So what we've been telling people is we paid 3 weeks so far. The last two groups I just mentioned would be paid by the end of this week. So by the end of the week, everyone who is entitled to a payment will have received it. And then we have applications in for the week 4 and week 5 with FEMA right now. I expect we'll hear back shortly. And then we'll be able to kind of do the same thing, probably pay them all in one big group this time, because once you get them through the first time, it's much easier the second time. And then it's week by week. And so what we're telling people is just pay attention to the website, pay attention to the different news outlets, come on to this session every week and listen to hear what's going on. But it's week by week, and we don't control that. We will ask for each week, if it's available, we'll get it and we'll pay it out. We want this money returned to Rhode Island's economy as much as anyone else. We're trying to do it as quickly as we can. About 100,000 people a week are still requesting payments, which means we remain pretty busy. And the other big issue that we're dealing with is in the pandemic program, we've really put some controls on that now. I think I mentioned last week, we're starting to see some more fraudulent claims come in through that program. That's happening throughout the country, just like it's happening with the SBA loan programs. We put some controls on it now, so people have to verify their identity prior to submitting a claim, which is different than how we usually do it. And that is slowing that program down a little bit. If you submit a claim, be prepared to go through an online verification process, or you can always call our call center at 415-6772, Monday through Friday between 8 and 6, and then Fridays 9 to 6, and Saturday from 8 to 11:30, and you can do it over the phone there. If you have any questions about DLT or you need assistance, I would urge everyone to email ltgov20@gmail. That's the number that you put up, Governor, and your office shares with me the contacts that you get, and we're able to help people that way. Between the call center and that email address, I think are the two best ways to get service right now. Where I sit here at DLT, I can see out to our front entrance, and I can see people pull up all day long, and they're frustrated because we're not open to the public right now.
Yep.
And they're coming up and they're seeing a notice that basically says to call the call center. I'm going to urge everyone, there's no reason to come to Cranston. Thank you very much. We appreciate the visits, but right now we're not taking visitors because of the situation with the pandemic. So please just call the call center or email into that email address, and I assure you we will get to you.
Yeah, and Matt, what you're doing, by getting those claims out as fast as you are, It's just like we're talking about, as Mark and I were talking about, whether it's grants or whether it's, favorable loan strategies into our small businesses, whether it's unemployment, checks, all that money rolls back into our economy. So every time you got one of those 95,000 people a check, you're helping our economy, because the people at home, they need to buy groceries, they need to buy gas, they need to buy these things, they need to support our small businesses. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. No, and we know that, and we know that the small businesses need their support in their business right now. It's important for us to get that money out as quickly as possible. No one wants to pay it faster than DLT does. Believe me, we want fewer calls coming in as well.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can.
What's the status of the work share? Is that still open till now to the end of the year or beyond that? Or because I think that's going to happen is a lot of these businesses, we had a manufacturer on 2 weeks ago, said that business, the order levels were pretty good, sustained them through the spring, but now it's shut down, and now they're struggling now in the summer, the tail end of the summer, early part of the fall. So there's going to be more and more companies, but is that WorkShare still a program that's going to be available to businesses?
Sure. So WorkShare is always available. We have a permanent program in Rhode Island. The difference is right now it's federally funded at 100%. And that's going to remain in effect until December 26th at a minimum, unless through one of the new acts in Congress, they extend that date. So right now, if anyone applies and uses that program, then they'll be covered 100%. And after that, you can still use the program, but it's charged like regular unemployment.
Yeah, so that's important to know as you do the work share right now. That's not going to impact your unemployment rates going forward because of what you've just said is federally. And then it's also, eligible to our small businesses. So if they're out there, they should, contact our office. If you're in a spot where you're slowing down, you need to lay off, or you're at 50%, 40%, 60% of your revenue, and you need to kind of reduce the hours, there's a way that you can protect your employees and you can protect your own business by having, basically it's work share. So you work and then you collect, but the combination is a full-time capacity. But that's an important program, Matt, and we're going to keep on pushing that, because I think a lot of businesses may not even be aware of that. We got to figure out a way to make sure that they're aware of that in a way that's real strong. So thanks for the work. Thanks for the help.
Well, thank you, Governor.
You were very
Ben?
powerful
Ben's
information. Ben, you got anything at all? I mean, at least you got something from one of the 95,000 people out there. They got that check on time, and they picked up the $900 that was a trailing, a trailing benefit, right?
I have someone saying that their son works in Mass, and they think that Rhode Island is very lucky to have Matt, and the DLT that we have. But Susan said she couldn't certify her claim for August 22nd to 29th. They wouldn't let me submit.
So that could happen for a number of reasons. One could be your name came up in what's an automatic batch transfer we get from a national directory of new hires, which means it's indicated to us that you've returned to work. And so because of that, the claim gets stopped. You can call the call center or email the Lieutenant Governor's office at ltgov20@gmail.com. There's the email address, and I'll take a look at it for you. That's one reason. The other reason is that either you're locked out because you've gone too many weeks, but we'll take a look and get it taken care of.
Awesome. That's all I have for questions.
Oh, easy, Ben.
I know. Nice
Thanks,
haircut.
Matt.
All right, thank you.
Next
Thanks.
week, yes, yeah, we noticed. Hey, bring Matt back on. All right, did the baseball team keep on winning, or is?
So the baseball team in our very first year, we won first place in the regular season and got to the final game. We forced a second final game, and then we lost in the second one. Great learning experience for my young son. Great time with my community. I want to give a shout out to the Warren Little League. In the East Bay, they know how to do things right, Governor. So very proud to be from the East Bay. Glad things are going well, and now on to fall ball.
There you go, and that's the point I make is, look, our life still goes on. We're struggling with a lot of these things, but that activity level and that social activity, and the community bringing together, so important to keep that flowing. So I just wanted to get an update on that. Okay,
well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you.
Take care.
Yeah. All right, let's bring on our coalition members with Lori, and I think Chris is here.
Lori's the only one we got. Lori's the only one we got today.
Okay, because Chris is doing his moving in stuff down in Barrington, and
Oh,
we
is he
know-
really?
And I wanted to just quickly tell you that Justin, who was the third wheel on this Amigos, had a little fire in his shop. I visited there. It's not that serious, but it certainly is another complication for a small business in the state of Rhode Island, Lori.
Yeah, I know. I think that I really wanted to talk to Justin because he unfortunately has kind of been through every single process that small businesses have been dealing with, reinventing what he's delivering, doing curbside, putting his shop on hold, and the retail component, and then the PPP. I mean, really, it's just been, he needs a vacation. So
Yeah, and he might need a little help. So once we determine what that is, we'll spread the word,
Yes.
in our networks, and we got to respond. Just to remind people, Justin was on my very first call. It was a telephone call, and it was tough to hear, but we had more than a handful of businesses, and I shared my cell phone number. By the way, if you think I can help you and you're not getting through, call me at 401-465-6204. I gave my number out at that time. Justin called, and he was able to start developing this rismallbusiness.org, which is going to be tremendously important, Lori, as we go forward in the work that you're doing in your local purchasing. Oh, Chris is showing up. That's good. We were just talking about Justin, and we're going to get an update. I'll get an update in the next week about maybe ways that we'd be able to help him out, because he's been a good person for our small business community in the state, and now he's struggling a little bit with a little interruption of his business. So we'll keep that posted. So Lori. So. And then I want to talk to Chris a little bit to get the update on, some of the things that we're working on. But that was a great, teaser in terms of that video that we're going to see tomorrow night on the program.
Yeah. Well, it's months of work. We have 10 businesses that we're going to be putting out. So this is the first kind of push with the 3 businesses together. And then we're going to be doing one business at a time. So I really think that this idea of connection is so important, and community. And that came up over and over in the video and in the interviews as well. So in terms of the Shop Local piece of the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition, it really is about getting the businesses on the site, allowing the businesses to tell people what they're doing in their business within a digital footprint that's easy, let their customers know. We have only donation based, so everything is available for everybody for, putting out anything they want, pictures, updates. And then I think that this communication venue is so important because I see this as kind of the platform for the small businesses to operate within on a daily basis, and then the coalition as the advocacy component for what are the issues that are coming up and how do those issues get addressed within the state and with you. And again, Lieutenant Governor, when you say, Justin started this, but it was you that brought everyone together. So, accepting Justin and then Chris and myself and the Shop Local, I mean, it really, it came together so fast and so easily that I think, when things like that happen, you got to move with them. So right now I see the small businesses they're not getting what they need, and they need more. We were waiting on 100 million to be distributed. And I saw in the paper last week that it's 1/10 of the 50 million on the first phase or something. And so I'm hoping that using this video at this time pushes the conversation for small business so that people really do start taking, have an eye into what's really happening in that building with that business and how are they operating. I mean, the maneuvering is incredible and you see it every day, but most people don't.
Yeah, Chris and I just had a cup of coffee with Chris in Barrington at a local coffee shop. And they've made the transition, Lori, as you have described early on. I mean, they were, say, 50% was takeout before. Now they're 90% on that coffee shop, and they're making ends meet, but they are also challenged. So, this whole thought process that's going on, Chris, Ray, that was a good conversation. And then with Jim Kuna, who's the town manager there, I think our local leaders can play a real important role. He was describing some of the things that he's doing. They're going to pass in resolutions supporting the work of the coalition. And they also are trying to help the local businesses, which Barrington is not really top heavy on small businesses, but they have their share. So every community needs that help. Chris, welcome. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you as well. It was great to, as Lori said, connect with other small businesses and other municipality leaders that also want to support our small business coalition. So to give a quick update, we're continuing to advocate for our coalition members. As we talked about last week, one of the biggest folks segments that were left out were sole proprietors without any employees. And that's something that we're very vocal about, that we need another push for that 75 million. And this time we got to get the money out easier and quicker. 80% of the folks in the coalition said that the process was just way too difficult. And it's shown with the numbers, as Lori alluded to, only 10% of that 50 million has gone out the door. And we can tell you, and if anyone talks to any small businesses, there's certainly a need out there. So if we can do it right, if we can be more inclusive and we can do it more efficient and faster and maybe go through these municipalities, then we can help continue to help our small businesses. So that's something that we're going to continue to push for as of right now. And again, we have our weekly coalition call. Typically, they are Monday at 11 a.m., but we're doing things a little differently because of Labor Day, as well as some folks like the farmers who don't really have the ability to stop during the day. To do it after 5. So we're going to have it tonight on a Tuesday at 5:30. And again, if you'd like to be part of that weekly coalition phone call, email info@rismallbusiness.org.
Great, Chris. And we're going to be out doing the Take It Outside strategy. Today was just a Barrington visit, and we're going to bring in the municipal leaders with the small businesses. I know we have a Main Street walk in East Greenwich that's setting up with Steve Lombardi down there at the Chamber in East Greenwich. And then we also have something going on with the North Kingstown Chamber to do something in North Kingstown. So we're starting to schedule our visits scattered throughout the state. So we'll let the coalition members know about where we're going to be. And if we happen to be in their community that they have a business in and they like us to stop by, to say hello and to hear their story and try to support them in any way we can, we will. And I've kind of like planting this seed. We got Christmas coming up. I know it's a beautiful day today, but it's going to be Christmas. And we'll have our small business Saturday that'll be coming up right after Thanksgiving. And this year, I think we need to kind of be thinking and asking the coalition members how we can help our small businesses. I would tell you, I was talking to my mom last week, and she was saying, "Oh, I got to get my Christmas shopping done." Now, my mom's 92 years old. She still buys for every grandkid and every kid. I mean, like, we got 14, 15 grandkids now, and one great grandchild or something like that. But anyways, my mom was talking about going online. I said, "Geez, if we could set up a structure where you could go online and shop our local small businesses, which is one of Lori's fortes."
We got it.
And so I want to plant that seed that this could be a rismallbusiness.org strategy, along with Lori's Shop Local strategy, and along with anybody out, all the chambers. This would be something that all our small business advocates could rally behind for that Christmas season.
Yeah, you had a guy or a couple guys on, 2 years ago. No, whatever. It only felt like 2 years ago. But there was one guy who did valet services on Federal Hill, and he was thinking about doing delivery services. And then there was another guy in Newport that was going to do delivery services at lower rates than like the DoorDash, and I don't remember who they are, but I mean, it would be really, really cool in a setup for Christmas to say, we get the stores on Shop Local Rhode Island to, sell their wares. And then we have these delivery services in Rhode Island in place. So I'm totally brainstorming in the middle of
this broadcast, which I got to get on. But let's plant the seed. We got Christmas coming up. It's a big selling time frame. Yeah. Just like McKee and I were talking about the football season. That's a big deal for our vendors. It's a big deal for our grocery, our food shops, selling the barbecue stuff, selling the, yeah, it all fits in. So Christmas is down the line. This is the time to start thinking about it. We'll start planting those seeds. But I want a good chance to thank you again for the help, and we'll be in touch with you during the week. And again, any of the small businesses out there, Chris, that want to, have us as a guest in the community on this Take It Outside tour. We plan to be in every community in the next 45 days, at least once. And that's our plan. So, spread the word. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay healthy. Yep. Ben, so we're going to bring on a few business owners.
We're gonna try to.
We're going to try to. Who's here? Is
So
Ray here?
So Ray is here, and I think he should be good.
Hi,
Hey, Ray.
How's it going, Governor? How you doing?
And
Alejandra's here.
She keeps coming in and out.
All right. Well, we'll start with Ray, and we'll see whether we can get the. We'll have Ray. Actually, Ray did a lot of the marketing for the opening of the Casa. Right. Give us the correct pronunciation of the Casa.
We're gonna do this together, Governor.
Go ahead.
We're
Help
gonna-
me with that. Help me with that, Ray. First of all, welcome to the program, Ray. And you got your own. You've started your own business. This segment is about people who have started their own business during COVID. So before we get to the cafe, give us a little overview of what you and your wife are doing right now in terms of starting up your small business.
Absolutely. So, thanks again, Governor. Thanks for stopping by that ribbon cutting last week. And this is how Rhode Island works. You see somebody, you make a relationship, and then a week later you're on their video cast. So it's a beautiful thing. But thank you for having me. As you can see, I'm missing my other half here. I'm missing my wife, who's my partner in this business venture. There she is. There's Alex. Hello. All right, we'll let her load up. But let me give you some context, Governor. We started up our business back in February after waiting for a couple months, trying to figure out what do we want to do in this next phase in our careers. My wife's coming from the corporate side of design. I was coming from the nonprofit world. And we decided to take that risky dive into entrepreneurship in February of 2020. And the rest, how the rest of that year has gone. So it's been a heck of a climb, but we've been able to survive and thrive, fortunately, during this time. Thanks in part to partners like Alex and our husband Javier over at Casa Azul.
Yeah, and Ray, part of the reason that I was very interested in having you on and Alex on as well is that businesses that are started up during the pandemic are not really treated the same as businesses that were in business prior to the pandemic. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Your overhead is the same. The work that you do, Alex's restaurant, her overhead's the same, insurance or rents or, her food costs. So we're making a play to say, hey, if you're in business, if you're a legitimate small business, whether you opened up during COVID or you were open up prior to that, we need to make sure that we're treating all these businesses on a level playing field. Otherwise, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be more struggle than what we can imagine. So, Ray and your wife, I don't know if we have the mural, but if I don't, I'm going to ask Andrea or someone to send the mural that your wife did in Alex's shop. As I introduce Alexandra, right? Alexandra, can you hear me?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us about your business
Yes,
that I was at the ribbon.
you-
At the ribbon cutting last week. Tell us about it, please. Oh, too bad. We don't have the best connection. We may have to have her back as a guest. But Ray, you're very familiar with the restaurant, and so tell us a little bit about what you saw in that restaurant as being real positive. You noticed our office. We got out there and we heard their story, which was fantastic. But yeah, give us a little overview.
Sure. So Alejandra and I, she was one of the first people I met here when I moved to Rhode Island. We were coworkers back at the UPS store on Wayland Square. And she and her husband came to us back in January of this year with the idea of opening up a Mexican restaurant in Providence. And, we never could have predicted the next couple of months and how much of a roller coaster it could have been. But, similar to us, they doubled down. They put all of their life and their energy into this place. And they were getting pushed with these delays with the department. There it is. There's that beautiful shot.
Yeah, and that mural, your wife did that mural, right?
She did. She also did the one behind me. You could obviously
Nice.
tell she's the artist of the family.
Yes,
Look at that.
very talented. Yes,
that was about 14 days, Governor, of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
The tears
Well,
were mostly for me, but she was the one putting in the energy and the elbow grease.
yeah. So yeah, you saw that business. They're going to do it. They're right on Allen's Avenue. I know Alex is having trouble getting on. We'll bring her back. This is not the first time that we've had somebody kind of trying to connect on, but we'll definitely bring her back next week so that she can share parts of her story. But tell us a little bit about your business and your wife, and in terms of why you would, you're both, well, your wife's from Pennsylvania, right? Who's been here for a number of years, and you've been in Rhode Island for how long? You've been in Rhode Island?
Man, time's flying by. It's going to be 6 years. This
6
August.
years. And you mentioned to me when we talked about the fact that you see Rhode Island as the spot that you feel very comfortable in, and tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so both Taryn and I, we graduated from Johnson and Wales, and we had every intention of getting our degree and getting out of here. Rhode Island, prior to moving up here, I had no idea where this place was. I just knew that it was a little south of Boston, and I was moving from Jersey up here. But something about it, and you know exactly what I mean, Governor. There's an energy, there's an excitement, there's this sense of innovation and potential that's happening in Rhode Island, and that's really what got us to stick around. There's also just a huge sense of community, especially around startups and entrepreneurship, and that's really what we were looking for when we looked at our options of, do we move to New York? Do we move to California? Do we move to Boston and try to do this? It didn't compare with starting something in Rhode Island. It's a lot more accessible here, and it's easy to build relationships and scale a business authentically here in Rhode Island.
Well, Ray, I want to thank you for being here today. We'll get you and Alexandria back, another time. We had a little trouble connecting in because I did, and I bought some food from their shop last week, and I came back and we had the fajitas, and they were great for lunch with my family, and we enjoyed it very much. So the message that we're delivering is, look, if you see a small business out there and it's in your network, support them. That's the thing that we need to be doing, and very consciously supporting Ray's business or Alexander's business on Allen's Avenue or wherever it might be in any of the 39 cities in town. Ray, I've always said, look, we got 39 cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. Everyone's important, and the people who make up those communities are important, and the communities that make up those communities are important. So our small business is a sector that runs across nationalities. It's diverse in terms of minority-owned businesses, non-minority owned business. We've got people of color that own business. We've got people that are, that are like me, not of color, supposedly, technically own businesses. Let's support them all, right, Ray? You're open to support them all.
That's it.
Okay.
Governor, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We'll have you back, and thank you to you and Tara for your work. All right, we'll end up a little bit, kind of like I think that we've got, Ben, do we have Brian on? Brian's here. Brian, thank you for being here, Brian.
My pleasure. Good afternoon, Governor.
Yeah, the last 5 or 6 minutes or so that we got today, I'll set this up, Brian, but you're working with businesses, helping them with tax issues that you're going to be able to better explain. We've been in conversation with a group that is really pushing really hard for alternate energies, renewable energies in Rhode Island, which I think is certainly I know is part of our future. How fast it comes, that's debatable, but it's coming, and it's part of our economy. But inside those conversations, Brian, and certainly you can touch on, the work that's being done by the people that you're involved in right now that are talking about renewables. But inside of that conversation, you started talking about tax strategies that are helping small businesses and how you're doing that, right? So give us a little overview of that, and then I appreciate you being here today.
Oh, my pleasure, Governor. Well, good afternoon, and thanks for having me. Huge spike in business owners taking advantage of what we kind of focus on in our business, which is the research and development tax credits. And as you've discussed and as you've seen, so many business owners, because of COVID and the shutdown and the different nuances of trying to stay open for business and yet be providing a safe and healthy type of environment to both their employees and their customers, they've obviously been there's been needs for additional revenue, and whether it be the SBA loans, whether the PPP, the economic relief type loans, what we've seen again is a huge spike in businesses actually taking some time to investigate other areas in which they could have an infusion of cash into their business. And so the research and development tax credits, it's actually nothing, not necessarily new. This all goes all the way back to 1981 as part of the 1981 Tax Act, but yet it's evolved tremendously over the years. And we see where a lot of businesses and even their CPAs are really not even aware of the research and development tax credits. And yet, if they are, a lot of times back of how it used to be in the 80s and 90s, and they don't realize how the law has evolved since 2003. In 2003, the federal government did away with the discovery rule, which basically means a business can qualify for research and development tax credits if they've implemented innovation and technology, if they've streamlined processes, if they're customizing and designing or manufacturing, but basically just improving their own business. So it doesn't have to be new to the world type of technology, not even new to the industry technology, but if it simply applies to their individual firm or business, there's potentially a lot of money at stake that can come back to them in the form of a dollar for dollar tax credit. And as you know, Governor, they're in Rhode Island. Rhode Island has even more generous research and development tax credits for businesses that conduct their business in the state of Rhode Island, more favorable than the already generous federal government tax credits.
Yeah, so as a business owner myself, or when I ran the town of Cumberland, which was the budget issues, it wasn't just creating new revenue. It was also looking at ways that you can control the expenses, but also doing management issues that could take advantage. Right. This is a way that they can take advantage. If a business qualified for these tax credits, it's like receiving money from their customers without charging them. Right. I mean, you're able to kind of bring dollars in, offsetting dollars into your small business, into your business. And right now, Mark Haywood, I don't know if you were on earlier in the call, but Mark Haywood from the SBA keeps on talking about the capital, the liquidity, the issues, the grants, getting money into our small businesses is really important. That's why I just wanted to kind of, pique some interest out there with the people watching this. And when you talked about this on our call a week ago or so, this was another avenue to potentially bring in some revenue that not every business may be taking advantage of. Give us like an overview of the type of businesses that could take advantage of this. As you said, it's in 2003, a more general strategy here, but who is the type of businesses that could take advantage of this, and maybe even some of the businesses that wouldn't qualify, if there are any businesses that wouldn't qualify.
Right. Well, Governor, there really are so many industries, really too many to mention on the call today. But yet, again, I think business owners and their accounting professionals need to keep an open mind, because when we talk to business owners, so many times they feel like, and this is a very interesting statistic, and that is 95% of businesses that can actually qualify for the tax credits simply do not apply. And so it is very applicable to obviously manufacturing. That it could be energy, it could be construction, it could be agriculture, it could be those companies that work with the internet, social media, lead generation, marketing, even a lot of service industries nowadays can qualify, but software, pharmaceuticals, food processing, the medical industry is very, very large. But again, so many industries actually qualify. So as a business owner, you simply need to kind of look at your business from a kind of an internal perspective and ask the question, are we streamlining our processes? Are we engaging in what's called qualified research activities that meet the IRS 4-part test? And that would include things like developing or designing new processes, new products, working with new materials, and so on. And so many businesses can actually answer a lot of what can help them qualify those qualified research activities. They can answer those questions affirmatively. And if they can, on the low end, we see a lot of recovery tax credit refunds that are anywhere on the low end of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and on the high end, $4, $5, $6 million. So somewhere in between, a business owner can take advantage, which could be very, very big right now as they're trying to not only maybe keep their head above water, but looking to grow their business, to expand, to maybe open up another location, to hire more employees, to buy additional equipment, can be used for virtually anywhere that they deem fit that's going to help them in their business.
Yeah, Brian, thanks for being here. And when you talked about the large percentage of people who would qualify that are not applying, that's what piqued my interest because we're trying to find any ways to help our small businesses, but any business in the state. So what I would suggest to anybody that's watching this program is if you first of all, if you have an idea like Brian's talking about that can help our small businesses, please let us know. We'd love to have you on to describe what that looks like. Second of all, if you think that you'd like to hear more about what Brian's talking about, contact us. We'll get you the information. You can connect with Brian directly, or we can, certainly any of your accountants, your CPAs that are out there should know about this, and we'll spread that information around. But Brian, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll follow up with you not only on the renewable issues and the energy issues, but also on this program that you're talking about. I think it could be helpful. Hey, if we help, a few dozen businesses out there because of this, and they see it today, we did our job, and we've helped a number of businesses try to get through this, this economic crisis that's been brought on us by the COVID-19 health crisis.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Governor. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, Brian, we'll talk to you. Yeah, so that does it for our virtual small business town hall meeting. Tune in tomorrow night, 7:00. Lori Gitteri will play the entire program on a video, and then we'll be filling in the blanks on all these things we're talking about, from schools, the health issues, and our small business support issues, and also continually remind everybody, let's follow the rules and the guidance so that we stay healthy, so that we can have a healthy economy. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night, and if not, next Tuesday.